and also the rector of Consolata Institutes of Philosophy. Today we are going to discuss a topic that we can continue with it even next time. St. Thomas Aquinas, the proofs or the demonstrations of the existence of God. You know, this is a question that happened, and it was there even in the medieval times, where people really wanted to know, is there a way of proving or demonstrating, or are there arguments that we can use really to show that God exists, who don't believe in God? Which are some of the proofs that we can show and we can use in order to show that really we believe that God exists? Things that even the non-theologians, non-Christians can understand. So we are going to use St. Thomas Aquinas, one of the medieval philosophers. See, philosophy is divided into different schools and the ages. We have the ancient philosophers, then the medieval philosophers, then the modern philosophers, and the contemporary philosophers, and those that are even philosophers even today. So St. Thomas Aquinas is one of the medieval philosophers. He is a Dominican friar and Dominican priest. He was a philosopher, a theologian, and a doctor of the church, the doctor of the church. He was known as an angelic doctor, and he was a great professor. He taught in the University of Paris in France and the University of Naples, where he was born. St. Thomas Aquinas was born in 1225 in a place called La Caseca in Italy. And then he died in 1274 at our friary, our Franciscan friary called Fossanova. It is in between Napoli and Rome. I worked there for some time. He wrote a lot. He wrote a lot in theology and in philosophy, especially what we are going to discuss today, the arguments of the existence of God. But even after writing too much, when he was dying, St. Thomas said, I consider all that I wrote as rubbish. Because later he realized it was too much. But then it reaches a time that all that you have been reflecting, all that you have been writing, become not necessary, and all you want to instead of arguing on the existence of God, you want to meet God himself. The last thing I can say about St. Thomas Aquinas is that he was a very fat man. He had a very big tummy, and they say where he used to eat with the others, they had to dig the table a little bit, so that when he is eating, he is not behind the others. He had to fix the table, the tummy a little bit inside. But it was a common thing in the medieval time. Most of the monks and the friars, because of making wine and a lot of farming, they were the beginners of agriculture, they were eating a lot. So what we are discussing here today is not a real proof or experimental proof of the existence of God, but they are arguments. Actually, St. Thomas called them in Latin via, the ways, the arguments that we can use. Via is a way, the ways of proving that God exists. And the first way that can prove, according to Thomas Aquinas, that God exists is an argument from motion, an argument from movement. He says, our senses prove that some things are in motion. When you look outside, things are moving. Cows are moving, people are moving, vehicles are moving. So things move when potential motion become actual motion. So there's no thing that doesn't have potentiality, the possibility of move. But once you start moving, we say you are actualizing your possibility of movement. And St. Thomas said that there's nothing that can be at once in both actuality or potentiality. A small child is potentially an adult, but cannot be potentially an adult and actually an adult. It's in the process. So St. Thomas, when he looked and saw that things move, everything is in motion, there is movement, he says, therefore, nothing can move itself. If something moves, it must be moved by another thing. And therefore, each thing is in motion. Each thing which is in movement and in motion must be moved by something else. There must be the cause of that motion. And now the sequence of motion cannot extend up to infinity. That this moved this, I moved the water moved the pen moved. It cannot be up to infinity. He called it ad infinitum in Latin. So, if it cannot be up to infinity, his argument is, therefore, it is necessary to arrive at a first mover. Who was the first who caused the movement? Put in motion by no other. The first mover is not moved. And this everyone understands to be God. So according to St. Thomas Aquinas, God is the unmoved mover. He's the one who brings everything into movement. But he himself is not moved by anyone, because again, that one which moved God must be moved by another thing. And what Thomas is saying, we cannot have the series that are infinite and infinitum. It will look childish to say, this moved this one, this moved this one moved this one. And then you ask, but who moved the first mover? And that's an argument that St. Thomas say, that must be God. So, according to Aristotle, the unmoved mover moves things by attraction. It's like when there is a beautiful girl in the village who comes from the city, and all over, this girl moves all the young men. They start taking shower, they start buying new clothes, they start wearing good shoes, because through the attraction, they are attracted, and that is the way they move. So the unmoved mover is not like the one who kicks fast, it's the one who moves through attraction. Other arguments from some Dominican philosophers is that it's like when you look at the pool table, God is the one who kicked the first ball. But then there is also an argument that, again, he is in every movement of all the other balls, so that you don't feel like he throws us into this world and then leave us. So that is the first way, argument from movement, from motion. The second argument is the argument from efficient causality, from the efficient cause. Now this argument is very simple again. We perceive a series of efficient causes of things in the world, and there is nothing which existed prior to itself. This table you see here had an efficient cause. There is a carpenter who made this table. But who made that carpenter who made this table? Therefore, nothing in the world of things we perceive is efficient cause of itself. You cannot say this table caused itself. It must have been caused by something. So if a previous efficient cause does not exist, neither does the thing that results, the effect, cannot exist. If there is no efficient cause to this table, then there will be no this table. Therefore, if the first thing in a series does not exist, nothing in the series exists. There must be beginner. There must be beginner of the efficient causality. So if the series of efficient causes extend again ad infinitum into the past, then it doesn't make a lot of sense. And it cannot be true. That is plainly false. There are things existing now that came about through efficient causes. Whatever you touch has been made by someone else. Therefore, efficient causes do not extend again like movement and infinitum into the past. And according to St. Thomas Aquinas, therefore, it is necessary to admit a first efficient cause to which everyone gives the name God. The first who made. You can say, who made this temple? This temple was made by a carpenter. Who made the carpenter? Then who made that which made that one? At the end of the day, we must think that there must be a being that is so powerful that began the cause. And that is God. And that is the second argument. It is an argument from efficient cause. When we look at Aristotle again, we realize that Aristotle analyzed 4 causes. There are 4 causes. The reason as to why things exist is because there are 4 causes. The first cause is the material cause. The material cause is that which we can see. This table is made of wood, and there could be some stones or glue that join this table. That is the material cause. Then there is the formal cause. The formal cause is before this table existed, it really existed first in the mind of the carpenter. And the carpenter had the idea of a table. And this is what we call the architect, the blueprint. The architect actually make the blueprint. The architect is not the one who actually built the house, but he has the mind of a house. You tell him, I want a hotel. So he think in his mind about the rooms, about the kitchen, about the laundry, about all those things. And that is the formal cause. So the form is existing in the mind of the carpenter. But again, there is the efficient cause. The efficient cause is the carpenter himself who now take the piece of wood and then prepare this temple. That is the efficient cause. But there is the final cause. The final cause is the purpose, is the reason as to why he made this temple. And the final cause is the purpose of this temple is that somebody can sit down, put some pens, water, and maybe talk to the television and talk to the people. And we shall come and look at 3 more ways of St. Thomas' arguments on the existence of God. I don't know whether any of the 2 arguments convince you that somehow there must be a being that causes the first movement. There must be a being that is the first to make everything which exists. See you after the break.
Capuchin TV, your Catholic broadcasting ministry.
Consolata Institute of Philosophy was founded in 1970. We have 50 years experience in teaching philosophical and religious studies, international and local languages. We take pride in our diverse students' body, which consists of lay people and those from 25 religious congregations from Africa and beyond. We have the only pure philosophy library in Kenya, with over 25,000 volumes and a well-equipped e-library accessible from our campus. Consolata Language Center, CLC, a department of CIP, has successfully trained students for the last 11 years since its conception by the Consolata missionaries. The center offers all international and local languages, which include English, French, Kiswahili, German, Italian, Spanish, Chinese, Portuguese, and Arabic. Moreover, we offer theological and Christian-oriented languages, which include Greek, Hebrew, and Latin, for those who have it as a requirement for their further studies in the respective areas of specialization. Other services offered at the center include interpretation, translation, editing, proofreading, and transcription. We offer well-elaborated certificate courses in interpretation, translation, and basic ICT training for those who may want to keep abreast with the rapidly digitalized world. For more details on admissions, applications, online chat and responses, visit our website on www.consolatainstituteofphilosophy.com and www.consolatalanguagecenter.co.ke. We provide hostels for gents and ladies, both religious and lay people. We offer services for conferences and seminars. Our multipurpose hall has a capacity of 800 seats. We also have an amphitheater whose capacity is 300 to 400 persons. Consolata Institute of Philosophy is located 500 meters into Seminary Road, off Magadi Road, on your way to Ongata Rongai from Nairobi. Our philosophy and religious studies intakes are every August, while that of the languages is continuous and flexible to respond to the client's needs and availability. The academic calendars are also available on our websites. For inquiries, compliments, feedback, and reservations, contact us on 020 4404 098 or 0719 32 8848 or 0725 726 054. At Consolata Institute of Philosophy, we offer the best of education at the demand of the contemporary world. Join us today for refined services.
ili tuweze kusaidia Wakristo wetu katika mahitaji mbalimbali.
Wewe kama baba, wewe kama mama, wewe kama kijana, wewe kama Kristo ana nafasi gani katika maisha yako?
Katika kipindi cha paroko na parokia, tunaangazia parokia ya Divine Word ama ukipenda Diwopa iliyoko eneo la Kayole, jimbo kuu la Nairobi.
Ungana naye Arbe Bonaya katika makala ya paroko na parokia kila Jumatatu saa 1:30 usiku.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound.
The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke.
Glory to you, O Lord.
On that day, some Pharisees came and said to Jesus,
Growing in Grace, now at 9 a.m., 1 p.m., and 10:30 p.m. only on Capuchin TV.
Was blind, but
Capuchin TV, your Catholic broadcasting ministry.
Thank you very much. And we have discussed two proofs, two arguments that St. Thomas Aquinas used to explain the existence of God. The first one was from the movement, that there must be the unmoved mover. Since things are in movement, each thing moves the other one, this one moves the other one, this one moves the other one. There must be that unmoved mover which began the motion, and that is God. He himself causes motion, movement, without he himself being moved. Otherwise, we could talk of infinite movements which have no meaning. And the second one is the efficient cause. God is the efficient cause. He's the first person who created, and then after that, when he created and meant things to exist, then things continue remaking themselves. That is an argument from the efficient causality. And I explained the four causes: the material cause, the efficient cause, the formal cause, and then the final cause. Now, the other argument is the third way. The third argument is argument from possibility and necessity. It's called reductio argument. So we find in nature things that are possible to be and not to be, that come into being and go out of being. Those are contingent beings. This glass could exist or not exist. It was not there, but then now it exists. But it can also break after this and it stop existing. Assume that every being is a contingent being. A thing can be or not be. Try to assume for each contingent being there is a time it does not exist. Therefore, there could have been a time when no things existed. If we go by this argument, there's a possibility that there are times that nothing existed. And therefore, at the time, there would have nothing to bring currently existent contingent beings. If there was a time that nothing existed, then there was a time that it was not possible to bring anything into existence. And therefore, nothing would be in existence now if we go by that argument. So we have reached an absurd result from assuming that everything is a contingent being. When we say everything could exist or not exist, that is what we call contingency. Therefore, not every being, at some point, there was possibility that nothing would exist or not exist. And therefore, we cannot have such kind of situation. There must be a being that exists out of necessity and does not receive its existence from another being, but rather cause them to exist. And this is what St. Thomas Aquinas again calls God. So if this glass existed at one moment and there was a time it did not exist, or this glass could stop existing today by breaking it and drawing it, it is a contingent being. If everything is like that, then there is a possibility there was a time that nothing existed to cause the others to exist. But for us to imagine that, we could be a bit foolish to imagine that there was a time that nothing existed. So there must be one being which exists out of necessity. It was not made to exist by another being. This is philosophically right, that it was not made to exist by another being, but it is that being which made things to exist. And that is God. That is God. And that is the third way, that there must be a being that existed out of necessity, and this being is not contingent. Its existence does not depend on anything else, but it has the possibility of causing things to exist. And that is what we say even in creation. God is the one who created the human being. The fourth way is called the argument from gradation of being. Now, this argument is very simple. There is a gradation to be found in things. Some are better and worse than others. They are grades. This looks bigger and smaller than the other one. So predications of degree require reference to the utmost case. A thing is said to be hotter according or hottest. See, this water is hot. This one is hotter. And the maximum in any genus is the cause of all that genus. Therefore, there must be something which is to all beings the cause of their being. For example, let's say goodness. This looks good or better than this one. Or beauty. You say, this person or this girl is beautiful. That one is also beautiful. That one is also beautiful. There are so many beauties. So there must be, these are grades of beauty. There must be that being which is the perfection of beauty, the perfect beauty. So whatever you talk about is in grades. This president is just. That governor is just. But there must be the perfection of justice, and this is only found in God. This is beauty, this is beauty, this is beauty. For all these beauties to exist, there must be a very higher degree of beauty, out of which all the other references of beauty take their being, take their possibility. And this is God. So God is the most, is the beauty in itself, is the honesty, is all those degrees of things that you think about, they are all in small grades. And that's why sometimes you say beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. The beauty of this one, what this one considers beautiful is not what this other person considers beautiful. But what is beauty in itself? It must exist in God. It must be God. That is the perfection of all the adjectives that we use. Good. So you can say, these people are good here, but God is the source of all goodness. These people are perfect, but God is the pure perfection. These people are beautiful, but God is the utmost beauty. These people are honest, but God is the pure honesty. In God there is no grade. And that is the fourth argument. I come to the last argument. And the argument number 5 is the argument from design. Argument from design goes like this. We see that natural bodies work towards some goal and not some chance. When you look at where you are born, the rivers go to a certain direction. There is a design. When you go down the valley, you expect a river, then you go up the valley. When you look at most natural things, you see there is a design. When you push an arrow, it goes to the target. What caused all this design? When you look at the world, it is perfectly designed. Where the sun is, if it just come an inch, then we are dead. If the air has more nitrogen, then we are finished. If the heat goes beyond, then we are finished. So there must be a perfect being that designed all these things the way they are. And that perfect designer is none other than God. If you can't see the other argument, just look into the world. See how the wind moves. See how the mountains go. See how the waters only reach in Mombasa at a certain level. It has not come up to void, because if it does that, then there's tsunami and people die. There must be a designer. And there's something we call also in cosmology the anthropic principle, that the world was designed by a perfect designer for us to exist into it. If things, the constants, the cosmological constants, if they just go down at an inch or a second, we are all dead. But the designer created it in a way that we exist here. And the last argument is the fine-tuning. When you look at the whole world, the way it is made, things are finely tuned, like those old radios. Everything falls into its perfect place. Who is this best designer? It is God. It is God who designed your body the way it is. A very funny argument sometimes. You would imagine whether you could climb the stairs if your behind was not separated. See you. Thank you.